Hey, Yosemite Church, what's up? My name is David Weaver. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. Today, I get to share my testimony with you guys today. So my story starts, I was about 15 years old when I started dipping and dabbing into drugs. Just a little bit though, because I was like most kids, it was hard to find. At that time, I was a skateboarder. And so a lot of the times I would just do drugs and have fun with my friends and skate and just do that. It really wasn't something that I was fully blown into at the time. But as I got older, I moved to Los Banos when I was 19 years old. I was really just living a life that was all about me. I left home day after graduation of high school, which I barely passed because I was a kid that had ADD and I just could not focus or stay in one place at one time ever. I just always was just busy. So when I moved back home with my parents in Los Banos at 19 years old, I ended up running into a friend from Hollister whose dad was a drug dealer. So this is when it just really became just full-blown into my drug addiction. And when I learned about doing drugs, it was a way for me to just suppress every feeling that I had that was not good. The way I thought about myself, how I had anxiety, how I was depressed, how I was angry at the world, all those things. The moment that I would do drugs, no matter what drug it would push that feeling down. And I'd feel like a normal person, like that I could function in life, And so that's how it all really began for me. And so at that time, I was full-blown drug addict, can hide it from everybody. No one really ever noticed. No one ever saw it except for my friends. And so then I meet my wife, Cindy, at a gas station that I worked at, functioning drug addict. I got high every day, all day, every moment of my life. And so I met Cindy. I was 20, she was 19. We got married, we had a son. But in that, my life of drug addiction still continued to go on, right? I still was able to just hide it, keep it hidden. I would go to work every day. I would get up in the morning, I would get high. I would be at work, I would get high. I'd work and be high. And then I'd come home, and on the way home, I would drink and get high. And then once I got home, I would go somewhere just to go to the store so I could get high, and I would be able to hide it from my wife, But it wasn't until on an Easter one year that I ended up getting arrested, and I ended up going to jail. And in that time, my wife at the time, when I came home from being in jail, totally sorry, all the things that a husband says when he gets caught, right, to try to keep his wife, she had told me that, how long you been doing this? And I was for a while, and so she was just like, I don't want you to run. You could stay home and you could do them here. You don't have to hide it anymore. And so now it was free game. I'm at home. I'm able to suppress all my feelings. I'm able to do all that stuff within the comfort of my house, right? Was doing drugs full time, still going to work, still taking care of my house, still being selfish and only thinking about myself at times. So what ends up happening is we end up moving in with my parents, because it was closer to my job. And what ended up happening is there's a day when I had no more drugs. I ran out. I got frustrated. I got upset about something. And Cindy was like, I'm done. I'm leaving. Me, like a dummy, I was like, you ain't going nowhere. I'll help you even pack the car. And as I stood there on the street and she drove off, she was done. It was this life that she wanted to live no longer. But it was a life that I still wanted to live. She wanted to go live a life for Christ, and I had wanted nothing to do with that. So she left. Now, we continued to try to work things out, or we were trying to work things out, but yet I could not stay sober to function. I could not stay sober to even be in our life together. I still had to be high so that I could continue to suppress those feelings of hurt, feeling of sadness, feelings of anger. I still did drugs. Cindy was done. It was a wrap for her. She didn't want to talk to me no more, and she didn't want to see me. So it wasn't until I went, this is crazy, because God in our life uses every opportunity to speak to us. no matter what it is. It necessarily doesn't have to be this burning bush moment like Moses had, right? It's the things, some things that he uses to speak to us. So there I was. I went to Reno with my grandma and she was going to get married. Crazy, right? Your grandma getting married. So there they were at the altar and they were saying their vows to one another. And I heard the vows that he was saying to my grandma. And in that moment, I realized I had failed as a husband. The things that he was saying, I was not doing at all. So I immediately, because there were no cell phones back then, right? I immediately went and ran and looked for a payphone, got $10 in quarters, and I gave Cindy that phone call and I told her, I am done living this life by myself, being selfish. It was over. I was done. I want to come home and live this life for Christ and give it a shot and try to go to church, right? I'm going to go to church. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking to myself as time went on that I'm just going to get her back, show her that I can change on my own and get her back, pull her away from church. And then we moved back to where we were coming from, that we get out of Merced, right? But that wasn't God's plan. That wasn't his plan at all. Now, the crazy thing is that the story doesn't end there. It doesn't end that I started just going to church and living this life, because what was ended up happening in church, things weren't going my way. I was upset. I would sit there with my arms crossed, mad, because my wife wasn't wanting to be together, but we were still trying to work out our relationship. Now, in 1998, there I was in a small church in Victory Outreach when God had other plans. Jesus came in and he changed my hard, misguided, and selfish heart. The pastor was preaching a message. I remember, yes, I want to change. I want Christ in my heart. I want the things that you're preaching about and talking about. So I jumped up out of my chair and I ran forward to the altar and I gave my life to Christ. Now, in that, change didn't happen right away, right? Because it says this in John chapter 16, verse 33, I say these things to you, in me you may have peace, but in the world you will have tribulation. Take heart, for I have overcome the world. Even Jesus says that we will have troubles in this world. But the great thing is we have Jesus, his love and his spirit and his blessing and his protection and those who care about us to pour into our lives. That they only see what is good in us, even when we don't see it. See, the crazy thing and the thing that I've learned is that the battle was already won because we have a Savior, or I have a Savior that fights for me. So now to kind of finish up my testimony, this is the greatest piece about it, is that I have Jesus in my life now to this day. I have 3 sons that serve the Lord. I have a beautiful wife that I've been with for 27 years, married 25 years. I have been sober and I have been clean for 23 of those years. And it's all because of Jesus and what he's done in my life. I just had to give him a chance. Now, there is this statement here at the church that I truly, truly have to live by every single day when I wake up in the morning. I have to tell myself that I am loved. Every single day that I am loved by God. That I will focus on and celebrate that I am God's beloved child. That he loved me when I was unloving, unworthy, and undeserving. That I might begin to see myself through his eyes. That I am a child of God. Fully loved, completely forgiven, fully pleasing, totally accepted by God, and chosen by him to reflect his love and his grace. YC, thank you so much for this opportunity to share my testimony with you. Have a great day.